Hello, everyone. Today we're going to go ahead and look at journal entries 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. But before we do that, I would like to show you our little chart here. So we have like our book information on here and also the information regarding the journals. So if you're trying to find your book, because remember, we're not going to have the physical book until January. So I just want to ensure that you remember where the book is and that you have these directions right here in front of you. For either one of these charts, if you need to take a picture of it, like for a reminder or something, you're more than welcome to do that. And then if you need to ask me for a reminder, you can do that as well. But these are the due dates here, and these are the pages for each of the journals, and this is the information for your book. So the first thing is letting you know to please go to Canvas. Once you go to Canvas, you're gonna click announcements. Once you click announcements, you're gonna go all the way to the bottom because that was the first announcement I put. You're gonna click the on course book link. What you're going to do is download it to your actual OneDrive because it's going to be easier for you to maneuver like everything within there. For the fifth part, it says go to the table of contents so you can see where each of the journals are, but I made it a little easy for you here so you can see it and you do not have to flip through the pages back and forth from the journal entry to the table of contents to be able to find the journal entry. And then what you're going to do is complete all of the journal entries and you're going to do your very, very best. So when we're looking at the pages, we already did journal entries 1 all the way to 10. So you see those page numbers on there. For journal entry 1, it was page 21. Journal entry 2, it was page 28. Journal entry 3, page 38. Journal entry 4, page 48. Journal entry 5, page 55. For 6 is page 61. 7, page 69. 8, page 79. 9, page 86. 10, page 91. 11, page 99. 12, page 106. 13, page 114. 14, page 124. Okay? So for our journal entry number 15, we have page 133. And then we have for journal entry number 16, page 143. For 17, page 147. 18, page 154. 19, page 161. 20, page 167. 21, page 173. 22, page 176. 23, page 186. For journal entry number 24, you're looking at page 195. For journal entry number 25, it is going to be on page 200. For number 26, it is page 209. And then we have just a couple of more because remember we're going all the way to number 32. So for journal entry number 27, you will find that on page 217. For number 28, you'll find that on page 223. For number 29, page 233. For journal entry 30, page 239. For journal entry 31, page 245. And last but not least, journal entry number 32, you will find that on page 253. So just as a reminder, I want you all to remember that our journal entries are listed here. And for journal entries 1 through 5, that was due on the 20th for first period and the 21st for seventh period. For journal entries 6 through 10, that is due on the 30th, well, that was due on the 31st. And then also the 30th for seventh period, so the 31st for first period, the 30th for seventh period. If you have not given me or shown me the journal entries from journal entry number 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, or 10, you can show that to me because remember, you still have to have this information for me when January comes for your college credit. Okay? So for the ones that we are working on now that I'm giving you the information about, it seems like November 9th is a far way away, but it's not. It's right around the corner. Today is November 2nd already. So for first period, journal entries 11 through 15 are due on November the 9th. For period 7 is due on November the 10th. For journal entries 16 through 20, it is due on the 16th. For period 1, the 17th. For period 7. For journal entries 21 through 25, it is due on the first day of December for period 1, and it is due on the last day of November for period 7, which is November the 30th, okay? So for journal entries 26 through 30, we do have the dates of December the 7th for period 1. And we do have the date of December 15th for period 7, okay? And that's journal entries 31 through 32. If by that time you did not complete any of the other journals that was before then, by the 15th, please make sure that you show me or complete everything well before then. Or actually by then, but you need to do it really before then, like by those due dates. But if you didn't get a chance to do it, you do have the opportunity to make up the work by the 15th. And, so I will have to put the Z in the grade book until you show me all of the journal entries. And remember, in January, you will be uploading this information to Broward College. So you can either, write it down on a sheet of paper, take a picture of it, and then you can, have like your little album and then put all of the information for the journal entries inside of that album. Then you're going to probably have to, put it all together and then put it for like the BC website for that assignment. Or what you could do is actually just type it as you go and then you upload that. Okay, and then some people, they like to write it and then they like to type it. So if you don't mind doing that double work, that's up to you, because I'm a type of person that likes to do that as well. Like write it down first, get my thoughts and everything out, and then I'll type it. So it's up to you based on your learning style. So also, just as a reminder, remember it will be different YouTube videos for the various journal entries. So please ensure that you are viewing the videos just in case you need additional assistance or more details about completing the journal entries. So it will also help you review the information. So we're going to go ahead and look at the next set. The ones that we're looking at today are journal entries 11, 12, 13, 14, and also 15. So when we're looking at journal entry number 11, which is on page 99, it's just letting us know that we have several parts here, okay? So there are 6 parts, and when you see the information in bold, it's giving you the assignment, the task, okay? The actual directions, okay? So there are 6 different parts. For part 1, in bold, it says write a 1-sentence statement of one of your most motivating goals or dreams in your role as a student. So what you're going to do here, you're just going to go back to your journal entry number 10, and you're going to look at one of the sentences that you wrote there, and you will write one of those sentences for your number 1 for journal entry number 11. So whatever it was that you wrote, just choose one of the most motivating goals or dreams in your role as a student. And remember, this course is Strategies for Success, so it is about your own success, okay? For journal entry number 11, part 2, it says write a long list of personal qualities that would help you achieve this educational goal or dream. So some people may say, how long is long? So when I'm thinking long, I'm thinking like 10 words or something. And, make sure that it is, something appropriate and that you're using great adjectives to go ahead and describe yourself because they want to know your own personal qualities. So, again, make sure that you're not plagiarizing, copying off someone else's work, or using someone else's work as your own because that is plagiarism. And remember, this is a college course, even though we are taking it in a high school setting. So just make sure that you're remembering that because especially when you're in college, if you're plagiarizing or aka cheating, what will happen on your college transcript in red writing, it will be a stamp that says plagiarism. And once you receive that on your transcript, you may get kicked out of college or you may get a big penalty. And this is a real story, okay? Like it's really, really true because I actually know someone that happened to with that person. He was a genius, had a full scholarship. He was holding his paper up, wanting like his friend behind him to, copy off of him. The professor saw this happening, so he lost his scholarship. He was kicked out of school, actually kicked out of school, and no school in the state of Florida would pick him back up. So he had to wait. He kept applying. But until like 2 years later, a school in Texas finally picked him up. But it wasn't a Division I ranking school. He had to go to a school that was accredited, but it wasn't up to the caliber of the first school that he was attending. And that was because he was very smart. He did his work, but he was holding his paper up like this for a while. And the person in back of him was copying, and he knew the person was copying. So just because you do the work and you want to help your friend, that is not considered helping. It is considered cheating, and the bigger word would be plagiarism. So for real, just make sure that you're not doing it because I am like a very observant person and I am a reader. So I read and I know when people are doing it because people did it before in this quarter and I, made sure I acknowledged it and told them about it and asked them to please redo it rather than me just giving them, a 0 out of 500 points. So, just wanted to make sure I, went over that with you all. So the example that they put here for number 2 of journal entry 11, where they're asking you to write your own personal qualities, they actually added several adjectives. So remember I was telling you, some people may say, what's, like a long list. So I'm thinking something like 10 words or something. So the example that they gave, it says the adjectives that you can use are you are a persistent, intelligent, hardworking, loving, articulate, organized, friendly, confident, relaxed, and so on person. Okay, so write as many qualities as possible. I want you to write at least 10, but if you want to write more, you are more than welcome to write as many as you can because it is about your personal qualities. And when you start with yourself on, saying that you're a great person, you're positive, and, all of that, that's going to make you achieve and be successful and do better. So now we're going to go ahead and move on to part 3 of journal entry number 11. So it says circle the 3 qualities on your list that seem the most essential for you to achieve your goal or dream as a student. Okay, so the one you identified in step 1. So in step 1, you have your goal. And then after that, you're saying, oh, I'm all this and a bag of chips. I'm this, I'm that. You're writing your different adjectives down that's talking about your own personal qualities, okay? And you can even think about that little activity that we did way in the beginning of the year where I asked you to write your name down. It could have been your first name, your middle name, your last name. And then you wrote down an adjective that described yourself, okay, using your name. So you can do the same thing. So just like with me, my first name is Lakeisha, and I can say for L, loyal, for A, astute, for K, kind, for E, I'm very, very eclectic. And then when I'm looking at the S, singer, okay, and we know that that is a good thing when you want to sing. And then also another thing I could say for S, sophisticated. And then for H, I can say humble. And then for A, I'm going to just, gloat a little and say amazing. So, whatever it is that you want to put, it doesn't have to spell your name or anything, but you need to make sure that you have those adjectives. So for part three, you're just going to choose one of those adjectives that's most essential to you, and we're going to, talk about that. So, not one, I'm sorry, it's going to be three. So you're going to choose three of those adjectives that you talked about earlier in your number two. So for number four, it says they want you to write three versions of your personal affirmation. So all the saying, the same thing that you wrote about, you're just going to write it three times, but in a different way. Okay. So here they have a format that you can use. I am blank, blank, blank. And you're going to, say if you're a man or a woman. And then for format B, it says I am blank, 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 man or woman, blanking. So like with your ing. Okay. And then for the third one, which is format C, it says I am a blank, 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 man or woman, and I blank. So for the examples for format A, the person said, I am strong, intelligent, persistent. Okay? So I am a strong, intelligent, persistent woman. And then for format B, I am a strong, intelligent, persistent woman creating my dreams. Now for the last one, I am a strong, intelligent, persistent woman, and I love life. So you're using the same adjectives that you used previously, but you're just writing the information down with different sentence stems, three sentence stems to be exact. So for part five, it says circle or highlight the sentences from step four that you like best, okay? So you're just going to make sure that you highlight, or you're going to circle the sentence from step four that you like the best. So you wrote three sentences, but you're just going to choose one sentence that you like the best. For the next one, which is number 6, this is where usually, we write one paragraph, but we're going to have to write 3 paragraphs for this one. Yes, it's going to be 3 paragraphs for this one because remember, by the end of April, we're going to have to actually write a final essay. And with that final essay, we're going to do like a practice, to make sure that you get it. I'm going to, look at it. You have to make sure you do your brainstorming. We're going to do an actual draft. You're going to, give it to me. I'm going to look at it. I'll edit it. And then I'll give it back to you. You'll revise it. And then we may have to do that a couple of times before I give it back to you to completely type it down. And we publish it as in, you have it typed up and then you send it to me. But, we're going to work on it. It's going to be a work in progress. So, don't get like nervous about it because I'm going to go over it with you. And remember at the beginning of the year, I had you to copy down the different charts over there for the informative essay and also the argumentative essay. So, it's going to be step by step. And I'm going to actually give you like an outline to follow. And it's going to be cool. So don't you even, worry about it. But what they're doing, they're trying to prepare you now for that essay to start you off. At first, it was 1 paragraph for each, question that's asking you to write information down. Now they're jumping to 3 paragraphs. They end up skipping like the 2 paragraphs. But we know for the final essay, it's going to be like the 5 paragraphs. Some people, decide to write more reasons. So they may have 6 or 7, paragraphs. So we know it's always an introduction, and then you have your body. And depending on how many reasons you have for the informative in your body, in your introduction, depends on how many paragraphs you're going to have in your body. And we know we always end with a conclusion. So for number 5, just to go back over that part again, circle. Well, sorry, that was part 5. So for part 6, write 3 paragraphs, one for each of the 3 qualities in your affirmation. So just like this person here, they gave an example saying they're strong, they're intelligent, they're persistent. So that means one paragraph, this person will write about them being strong. And it could be physically or it can be mentally, whatever they're thinking about strong. And then we also have them saying that they are intelligent. So they can tell you how they're intelligent in school. Maybe, the person may have a job or something. They can tell you how they're intelligent, like on the job. Or guess what? Having street smarts or street sense can identify someone as smart as well, because that is common sense. And then some people may say they are smart, astute, intelligent because they make straight A's or something, and, or maybe A's and B's. So, think about that as well for the intelligent piece. And now we're looking at the third one. They actually put persistent. So they can put how they're persistent in their school life, their work life, their personal life, whatever it is that they want you to know of why they are persistent. So remember, it's one paragraph per adjective that you wrote about yourself that was talking about your own personal quality. So I know that was a whole lot for number 11, but it's self-explanatory. But we got to go through it. And now we're going to go ahead and look at journal entry number 12. Again, you will find that on page 106. And with this one, there are several parts, but not as many parts as journal entry number 6. For journal entry number 12, we actually have 4, okay? And we know for 11, we had 6. So for journal entry number 12, we actually have 4. So for the first part, it says write a list of 15 or more specific actions you have taken in the past 2 days, okay? So we know actions are based on verbs, so something that you actually do. And since they're saying this is something that took place in the past, this is, like your ed ending, okay, on the end. So, for example, what they have here, it could be such simple things, but not something like so personal that we know everyone, get a chance to do. But just make sure that you are writing something. I will share with you the 10 that they actually have here. So when we're looking at this, I'm going to go ahead and share some examples with you so we can, see an example of how you can say 15 things that you could have possibly done in your day. So for example, number 1, it says watch TV, and then you're going to put the amount of time you watch TV. So here the example is 2 hours. For the phone call to Terry, 1 hour. For watching TV, 3 hours. Went to the mall and wandered around for 2 hours. Hung out in the cafeteria about 2 hours. And you played your video game about 4 hours. So you're just making sure that you are writing the amount of time that you are spending on each activity. So we got a chance to look at the first 6. So now we're going to look at 7 through 15 to continue giving you the examples. So for number 7, pick clothes out for, going out. Took an hour because the person has a lot of clothes. Number 8, washed clothes. It took 3 hours because once the person wear the clothes, they do not wash them immediately. So, they have to wash them, they have to dry them, they have to fold them, or they're going to have to hang them up. Also, wash dishes. They had a lot of dishes because they just left them in the sink piling up. So that took them about 50 minutes, 50 minutes. Put on their shoes. They were taking their time. They really weren't happy to go where they were going to possibly go. So it took them 5 minutes to put on one shoe and then 5 minutes to put on the other shoe. So a total of 10 minutes. For cleaning the house, they got a chance to walk their dog as well. And their house wasn't that messy other than the dishes and them, having to do the clothes and everything. So it just took them 1 hour to walk their dog and clean their house. For them driving to school, it took 1 hour because they live far from the school. And then for them to get to school and complete all of their assignments, even though they're in school for about, 7 hours, and everything, they're very smart and they finish their work in 3 hours, okay, based on all of their class periods. So those are just like some examples of how you're going to write the activity that you actually did, okay, within the past days. And it's going to be 15 activities, and you're going to think about the 24-hour day, okay, of things that you do. So if you want to also add sleep in, you can also make sure that you're adding sleep, because even though like we're sleeping, our minds are still active, and a lot of times our bodies and stuff move as we twist and turn and everything. So you can also add that if you want. So when we're looking at number 4, it says write about what you have learned or relearned concerning your use of time. So now I'm able to pinpoint here why they decided to just have you to write about random things that you are doing in your schedule throughout the day, rather than having anything from journal entry number 12 connected to the information that you wrote about in journal entries 1 through 11. So what they're doing here, they're just trying to make sure that you are managing yourself and that you are managing your time. And then once you're being able to really chart all of your daily activities and looking at everything that you are doing throughout the day, you're able to see if you can add extra time, minutes or hours, to doing something else that could be more pertinent to you meeting your goals or your dreams. Because once you see it written down, you're like, oh my goodness, I was watching TV or playing video games or talking to my friends or whatever it is that you're doing all that longer time, when you could have been using that same time to do something else, possibly a little more useful that could have helped you with your goal, as in, going to tutoring or studying or doing something that was going to help you, working on learning how to write a resume, or anything that is something that will be helpful. So just make sure for number 4, when they're asking you to write about what you learned, so you just want to make sure that you're looking at the different questions that they are asking you down below, because they're actually giving you like a little prompt information to be able to know how to answer, write about what you have learned or relearned concerning your use of time. And it says, as a result, what will you do that you have not been doing? Okay, so we have to make sure that we understand that. So the questions that they have here that can kind of prompt you to answer this information for number 4, it says, what exactly did you discover after analyzing your time? So when you're looking at your time, what were you actually doing, and how do you think that you can self-improve, and what were you spending the most time on, the least time on, what was going on? For the second one, it says, in which quadrant do you spend the most time? Okay, so remember, you were making sure that you're looking at your different steps. And remember, quadrant is based on 4. So you're just making sure, like up here, how you have one line here, and then you have one line in the middle, like an even T. And then you have like your first area, second area, third area, fourth area, which is your quadrant. So you're making sure that you're putting everything in categories, okay? So the next part, it says, what specific evidence did you use to draw this conclusion? You're looking at the information that you wrote down to be able to draw your conclusion. If you continue using your time in this way, are you likely to reach your goals and dreams? Why or why not? So now this is the time when you are reflecting, and it says, what most often keeps you from taking purposeful actions? So why aren't you doing something more purposeful or more meaningful? So it says, how do you feel about your discoveries? How do you feel about what you found out about yourself, something that you're doing for the most part on a daily basis? And then the last one says, what different choices, if any, do you intend to make about how you use time? So if you see that you're having like a little problem with doing certain things all the time when you could be doing something else a little more constructive, just make sure that you are, working on that so you can change that, so you can, get better. So that was number 12. For number 13, the good thing, we only have 2 areas here. And within these 2 areas, the first one, it says on page 114, write about the system or lack of system that you presently use to decide what you will do each day. So some people have like a little calendar, or they have a daily planner or an hourly planner, and they actually stick to that. They can have it in paper form, something that is like tangible, a hard copy, or some people like to record what they're doing electronically. Because the other day I saw that they have like so many different, apps and everything. They even have like an app that will help you put different things down for different slots of your, day, to be able to say what you're doing throughout the entire day. So, if you're using that, that's fine. If you're just using regular old-fashioned paper, that's fine as well. So it's up to you. So you're just going to make sure that you write your, paragraph about that, because it says write about the system or lack of system that you presently use to decide what you will do each day. And remember, there's no, wrong answer. Just, write what you are doing and how you can improve that if it needs to be improved. So now for part 2, we're going to go ahead and look at that. It says, write about how you could use or adapt the self-management tools in this chapter. So when we're looking at part 2, it says, write about how you could use or adapt the self-management tools in this chapter to create a leak-proof self-management system and improve your outcomes and experiences. Or if you do not want to use or adapt any of these tools, explain why. Okay, so it has to be that your information is very, very tight. So when we're looking at the different details, they're giving you some information where you can consider using a weekly calendar, a monthly calendar. You can even, use a tracking form. It's various things that you can do. And some people, actually use their phones, their computers, their iPads, technology. So just make sure that you are inventing your own system for managing your choices and your time. And you're doing whatever it is you can do to be able to maximize anything that you're doing to be able to meet your goal and to reach your dreams. Okay, so that is for part 2. Now we're going to go ahead to look at journal entry number 14. And with journal entry number 14, it has several parts as well. So we're going to make sure that we look at each one. So for journal entry number 14, there are actually 4 different parts. So for the first part, it says from your life plan. Remember, you actually did your life plan from journal entry number 9. And remember that life plan was on page 86. So all you're going to do is copy one of your most important and challenging short-term goals from your role as a student. So remember, you had 2 different goals there. You had to have one that was challenging, and you also had one that was most important. So you're going to write both of those there for the first part of journal entry number 14. For number 2, it says write and complete the following sentence. All right, so we already understood number 1. And what we're going to do now, you're going to write about number 2. It says write and complete the following sentence, stem, 3 or more times, okay? So at least 3 times, but it can be more than 3 times. So it's up to you if you want to be just an average person or an overachiever. So it says, I would move steadily toward the goal if every day, what do you do? Every day. So the examples they have here on page 125, number 1, I would move steadily toward this goal if every day I spent at least 15 minutes doing exercises in my grammar book. Your grammar would be able to improve if you're continuing to practice and you're not just waiting to do something in your English or reading or research class or any of your other classes. When you're giving yourself homework, even when your teachers do not assign the homework, it may seem weird, but it's really making you a better person, helping you to be able to learn more and more. So for number 2, it says, I would move steadily toward this goal if every day I wrote at least 200 words in my journal. Okay, for the third part, it says, I will move steadily toward this goal if every day I revise one of my previous essays, correcting the grammar errors that my teacher marked, okay? So that is that one for those 3 for part 2. So now we're looking at number 3. It says on a separate page in your journal, you're going to create a 32-day commitment. So now what we're looking at for our part 3, it says that you're going to use a separate sheet of paper and you're going to go ahead and complete a 32-day commitment form. So with this, you're saying all the things that you are going to do for 32 days and you're going to remain committed to that. Also, it's just letting us know that on the commitment form that you're going to attach a copy of one of the following for this journal entry. It says you're going to complete at the top of the form because I know with one action from your list in step 2. So remember, we already did step 2 and actually you wrote down 3 sentences and you had your 3 different, actions there that were separate from one another. So what you're going to do for part 3, you're just making sure that you're completing those sentences and you're choosing one that you're going to expound upon and that you are going to talk about. So for number 4, it says make a choice. So they actually gave you 2 things that you can look at here and that you can actually make a choice about. So it can be part A and also it can be part B. So for part A, it says describe your thoughts and feelings as you begin your 32-day commitment. So are you feeling happy? Are you feeling overwhelmed? Are you feeling sad? Are you feeling upset? Are you feeling excited because you are happy that you are finally getting your life and the different details about your life in order? So remember, this is for 32 days. So that was basically part A. So for part B, it says, imagine that your on-course class, which is this one, the Strategies for Success class, has an anonymous online discussion board. So that is when like the students come on, you talk to one another, a question is posed, all of you all write to the question with your first response, and then you are going to in turn respond to other classmates' posts, okay, where you can agree or you can disagree, but we will ensure that we are doing it in a professional manner. So within this class, we will be having discussion forums, and you will get a chance to delve into that. Basically, what they're talking about here in the journal entry number 14 about the online discussion boards. So they're just saying, just make sure that you're replying to someone else's post and that you are being positive rather than negative. And it says, write a response that you imagine your instructor, me, might write to the two anonymous students, okay? So it says, important, if you miss a day on your 32-day commitment form, don't judge yourself or offer excuses. It says, simply ask your inner guide what got you off course. Learn the lesson that is available, renew your commitment to yourself, and start over at day one. So really, you don't want to have to start over at day one. If you already did like 15 days and then you messed up and skipped day 16, that is a problem, because now you're going to have to do day 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 over, okay, to be able to catch back up again with day 16. So that's putting you several days behind, and we might add weeks behind. So we want to make sure that every day we are being diligent and we are completing our 32-day commitment form. So the next thing we need to look at is going to be our last journal entry, which is journal entry number 15, and you'll find that on page 133. So once we turn to that page and we're looking at it, as you see, we do have different parts here, just as we did in the previous journal entries. So we actually have 4 parts in actuality. So it's letting us know that in this activity, you will practice ways to increase your self-confidence. So you may not have such a high self-esteem now, but by the time you finish this class, you should be able to have a higher self-esteem and high self-confidence, because you are doing a course that is helping you become a better person. Remember, the course is called Strategies for Success. So what it also tells us here is that self-confident people expect success. So know that you are someone, know that you are important, and that you are able to do anything that you put your mind to. And then it says, which in turn strengthens your motivation and fuels your energy. And it says, if what they are doing isn't working, as in you, if it's something that you're doing that is not working for you to be able to reach all of your goals and dreams, and for you to be able to finish strong, and for you to be able to be consistently giving your best to achieve your goals and dreams, you need to ensure that you change that right away. And it says, in this way, the very success they want and expect often becomes a reality. Because the thing about it, as I learned several years ago, dealing with 3 A words, if you actually aim to do better, you can aim to do better. But first you have to admit that you need to do better. And lastly, you must act upon doing better, the actual action, okay? So we can think it, but then once we think it, we have to go ahead and come up with a plan of how we can improve and how we can get better, and then go ahead and put that plan in action. So now we're gonna go ahead and look at the different steps, okay? It says make a choice, do 2 of the following 4 actions. So number 1, it says list the success you have created in your life, okay? So what have you done and it was a success in your life? Right now you're in high school. Many of you all have your license now, And many of you all were able to work, or your parents just end up buying you a car, or you purchased your own car. So, first you had a goal. Hey, I want to learn how to drive. You learned how to drive. I want to learn how to pass the driver's ed test. You pass the driver's ed test. And then you're like, I'm tired of my parents dropping me off, or I'm tired of catching the bus or catching Uber. I want to be able to drive myself to school, but I do not want to borrow someone's car. I do not want to be driving my parents' car, so I want to purchase my own car. So in this instance, by you thinking of all this, you were like, okay, I admit that I want to learn how to drive, and I admit that I have to do certain things to be able to get there. So I'm going to aim to reach those goals. And then after I aimed, I got a chance to hit the target. And then I am making sure that it is done because I acted upon it. And then now I'm driving in my car that I worked for or saved up for, or that my parents gave me. And I got a chance to make sure I have my insurance, because that's something I have to make sure I do as I'm driving, because you have to make sure when you're legally driving that you have a driver's license and that you also have your insurance, and that you are making sure that you are following all of the laws as a law-abiding citizen. So that was just an example. For number 2, it says list your personal skills and talents. So all of us are skilled or talented in various areas. So what you're going to do is just go ahead and write that information down. And for number 3, it says list positive risks that you have taken in your life. So it depends on what you think. But this is like something that you can think about. When did you stretch your comfort zone and do something despite your fear? So even though you did not know what you were doing, or you didn't know what was going to happen, you decided, I'm going to go ahead and step out and I'm going to do this activity because it will help me reach my goal. So if it's something like that that happened to you, you can go ahead and express that there. For the 4th one, it says write a visualization of yourself successfully doing an important action that you presently have some resistance about doing. So just make sure that you're working on that part. And you know what, going back up to number 2, I just want to make sure that we identify this information, because in order for you to understand it, they are asking you prompting questions. For the first one, it says, what would your friends say are your skills and talents? Because the thing about it, many times we do not understand or see ourselves doing certain things, but others are able to pinpoint and realize that we are talented or skilled in a certain area. So we have to make sure that we're looking at that. And it says, don't overlook talents that you use daily. No talent is too insignificant to acknowledge, okay? So it says, if listing your personal skills and talents makes you uncomfortable, please recall the old saying, it ain't bragging, it's true, okay? And we know ain't is Ebonics and it is slang. So the thing about it, if you wanted to say it appropriately, you can. So you can say, it is not bragging, it is certainly true, okay? So we want to make sure that we're not bragging about ourselves, but if something is true, all you're possibly doing, that you're simply doing, is giving the correct, true, factual, direct information. So now we're going to go ahead and jump to the bottom of journal entry number 15, and it's the last part, okay? As we know, it was 4 parts. So it says that you're going to write a visualization of yourself successfully doing an important action that you presently have some resistance about doing. I read this question not too long ago, but I wanted to make sure I jump back to explain the information to you for part 2. So looking at part 4 again, it says, for example, something that you can, write about. Maybe you fear asking a question in your biology lecture class, or you're nervous about going to a scheduled job interview because you're probably like, oh my goodness, am I going to be able to get the job? There's so many people competing against me. Will it happen? And then something else, it says, remember that you need to use the 4 keys to effectively visualize what was discussed in your journal entry number 10. And remember, you could go ahead and look back in your book at journal entry number 10, which is found on page 91. So the 4 points that you want to make sure as you're writing, you want to ensure that you are relaxing, okay? And that you are using present tense verbs. So you are not using ed at the end as your suffix. You are not using anything of the past. You're using things that are of the present. So you can actually add your S on the end of the word. You can actually add your ing also on the end of the word whenever you're able to use those different suffixes, because you're looking at something that is not in the past, but something that is of the present. So it also tells us to be specific and use many senses, okay? So when you're talking about your senses, you're actually talking about how you're able to see, okay, your imagery and everything, how you're able to hear, okay, how you're able to taste, how you're able to touch, and how you're able to feel, as in feelings, okay? So those are, some examples of your senses there. So for the next part, it just says, as a model for your writing, reread the positive visualization that appears in the article right before this journal entry. Okay, so just to make sure, if you don't see it, I'll go ahead and read it for you. Visualize purposeful actions. So it's saying we can also strengthen our self-confidence as well as our abilities by visualizing purposeful actions done well, especially actions outside of our comfort zone. And then it actually says psychologist Charles Garfield once performed an experiment to determine the impact of visualizations on a group of people who were afraid of public speaking. These nervous speakers were divided into 3 groups. So for each group, they did separate things. And when they were in the groups, the experts found out that when they were doing public speaking, different people responded in certain ways because of their personality or because of their skill set or because of their academic set. So that's why I like to put you all in groups as well, because you can feed off of one another. So one person can be strong in one thing, another person can be strong in another, and that will help you meet the goal. And the last part of that paragraph, it says, because you choose the movies that play in your mind, so things that you're actually thinking of, why not choose to star in a movie in which you successfully complete purposeful actions? So you can actually, have a one-on-one conversation with yourself. It can be like, in your mind, or you can actually write it down in the form of a skit. And it says, creators know there are many choices that will strengthen self-confidence when we consciously choose options such as creating a success, identity, celebrating or success and talents, and visualizing the successful completion of purposeful actions. We will soon be able to say with supreme confidence, I can. So that is for journal entry number 15. Remember, you do have 4 things that you can do there, but they're only asking you to choose 2 of the 4. So if you have any questions, you can email me, or you can actually come up to me in person and ask me, and I'll make sure that I go over it with you verbatim and very thoroughly, so you can understand each specific detail which is pertinent for you to complete for journal entries 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. Have a great day, keep up the great work, and remain safe. Bye until next time.